as director, I wait for years for this. Thank you so much. DMC is back.
During last year's E3, at the Microsoft press conference to be exact, players around the world were thrilled to hear that Devil May Cry was making a comeback. True Devil May Cry, okay, not that cringy DMC reboot. To be fair, the gameplay in that game was solid, but my god, that version of Dante, I can't even look at him with a straight face. Yes, Devil May Cry 5's announcement, with the series having been dormant for over a decade, was a highlight of the event, and now it's been fully released in the wild, in players' hands, and holy shit, is this game great. Devil May Cry 5 is essentially a mature Scooby-Doo. Bunch of people get together, drive around in a van, and solve mysteries. Well, not really, they more so eradicate demons with extreme prejudice, but that's close enough. It's really a story about family. There are 3 playable characters in the game, Dante, Nero, and Kylo Ren. Narrative-wise, you're going to get a deeper look at what drives them individually, as well as what connects them. With a few twists and turns along the way, the story is actually pretty good for this type of game, and the cutscenes in that are really elevated by some highly entertaining, kick-ass action moments. And since I'm mentioning the cutscenes, I gotta bring up, I bought the deluxe version of the game, and one of the things you get when you buy that version is access to this alternate live-action series of cutscenes that I guess they did for like real-life reference when making the in-game cutscenes. They're just so funny. I'm sure someone's uploaded them all to YouTube by now, so it's not like you're gonna have to buy the deluxe version to view them, but yeah, I just want to let people know they are definitely worth your time to check out. They have these amazingly awful miniature and green screen effects. Just fantastic. Gameplay-wise, Dante and Nero play fairly similarly, a mix of melee and ranged attacks, but Kylo uses the Force to conjure these shadow beasts of sorts that do the heavy lifting for him. Kylo, I think, is by far the weakest of the 3 to play as. I just don't find hanging back, waiting to grab and finish enemies very engaging. But that's okay because our other devil hunting boys, which are the main 2 you'll play as, they are so great. The combat in this title, okay, is about as crisp as I've ever seen in any action game. And this is coming from a Platinum fan. Combos, counters, all that good stuff feel insanely satisfying to pull off and string together. And it's all just so over the top, especially Dante's arsenal in particular. For instance, he has a motorcycle that you can hop on and drive into enemies, but he can also break it in half and swing the parts around like he's the Incredible Hulk or something, and that isn't even the craziest weapon at his disposal. I swear I've seen this technique before. Yes, one of Dante's ranged weapons is a hat he can throw at enemies, and when you equip the hat, it also outfits him with this demonic scarf, and may I say, he looks damn sexy in it. That's really a good way to describe this whole game, honestly. It's just all around sexy. These graphics, boys, my god, is this not one of the best looking video games you've ever seen? Again, our cast, the mature Scooby-Doo gang, beautiful people all around. My girl Nico, man, when she goes to get Nero his new arms, whew, she knows what she's doing. If you're playing the PS4 version, don't worry, they make sure the game never gets too sexy so you won't get overwhelmed. The world design is fantastic, albeit a bit limited. If there is one gripe I'd have about the game, it would be the limited nature of the environments, particularly during the second half or so of the game. Yeah, this demonic hellscape, it is badass, it's super metal, but it all looks largely the same, and you spend an incredible amount of the game in these areas. As a contrast to this beautiful game, beautiful environments, beautiful characters, the enemies are disgusting, as they should be, and they are so fun to fight. Each enemy type has a bit of a twist to them, attacks and techniques that you'll have to sort of study as you progress through the game, because when you're faced against a group of different enemy types, you do have to think a little bit and plan out your attacks to not get overwhelmed. And the bosses, I know we use the word epic as a meme these days, but there are seriously some epic boss fights in this, and they will beat your ass too, especially on the higher difficulties, which that's where this game gets really intense. And keep in mind, you're upgrading your characters along the way with progress that carries over to the harder difficulties, so you can hoard up on orbs in the lower difficulties to max out your unlocks to be better equipped to take on those tougher modes. And while we're talking about orbs, I do want to bring up something that I do feel a lot of people are leaving out, probably because the game is so great, and this negative aspect isn't really noticeable, but I still got to put it on blast. The microtransactions. Now, yeah, they aren't intrusive at all, let me be clear, and yes, they also weren't intrusive in the special edition of Devil May Cry 4. If I hear that 200 or 300 more times, my head will explode. You know there were microtransactions in 4, right? Don't you know that if you have it in one game, that means it's good to do it in all your other games until the end of time? No, I don't like microtransactions in any $60 game, but I will also agree that they aren't a big deal. You do acquire the orbs very quickly. It doesn't feel like they put up some arbitrary grind wall or anything, but this is straight up paying for power. These aren't cosmetics or something like this. This is a way you can get more moves, more health with real currency. Basically, it feels almost like you're paying for cheats. Remember those back in the day? You could put in some sort of code to get max health or unlock everything. Instead here, you can pay real money for that privilege. Yeah, it's not invasive, but I still don't like it. I just don't want this stuff in the games, period. But then at the same time, and let me be clear, because I already know by merely pointing out the microtransactions, I'm going to trigger a lot of people in the comments. I don't want this to at all deter people from playing the game. In fact, I feel the opposite, as you've probably gleaned from this video so far. And if you're familiar with my stance on microtransactions in general, it shouldn't surprise you in the slightest that I wanted to bring this up. But now that I've mentioned it and can kind of push that to the side, to reiterate, I don't want that to affect anyone's perspective on the game. It is a phenomenal experience. I honestly believe this is going to go down as one of the best action games of all time. You know, I'm not even trying to blow smoke. Just so fun to play, so much room for techniques to master as you unlock new skills. It's going to change up your play style and you're just going to get better and better. And even if you're not that skilled at these types of games, I know some might find it a little intimidating, you've got those easier modes. The easiest one, I think it's human. I think just about anyone of any level of gaming prowess can complete it. And even if you start at that bottom rung, you're still getting orbs and powering up your characters to be better prepared for those harder difficulties. And with just how engaging the combat is in this game, I do think a lot of people, even if you're not typically the type of player that plays a game multiple times, I think you're going to want to go in there for more runs just because it feels so good to play. And yeah, I really don't have many negative things to say about it except for those couple of really nitpicky things. If it sounds like I'm just trying to sell you on this game, you're kind of right. I think this is just an all-around stellar release. After putting up with a bunch of trash tier AAA games recently, I needed this game, seriously. This is what AAA games are supposed to be like. You're supposed to be spending $60 because you're getting the cream of the crop. A game that is not just great, it is great the moment you boot it up. None of this, oh, the game is a broken mess today, but it'll be great one day, we promise. Ridiculous. Simply put, if you're looking at this game and it interests you in even the slightest, go out and buy it right now. You will not be disappointed. Anyway, with that, this video's a wrap. Obviously, I give this game a glowing recommendation. Definitely let me know your thoughts on Devil May Cry 5 in the comments. Are you currently playing the game? And if so, are you enjoying it as much as me? Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this discussion of Devil May Cry 5. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. And if you want to keep the conversation going, hit me up on Twitter @JohnnyZakari. And join my Discord, ChiGuy and Friends. Link to both in the description below. There's actually a Smash Brothers tournament going on over at the Discord this weekend, the Lucre Cup. So if that sounds like something that would interest you, head over there for more information. As always, I'm John Zakari, and thanks for watching.